Hey everybody, it's Martina here, and I have a special guest with me. You all have seen him in some of my videos, some of my vlogs. This is the man behind the camera in the labor and delivery vlog. He did such an awesome job. This is my husband, guys. Melchizedek.
Yay, I'm Melchizedek. Nice to meet you all.
But we all call him Mel, so.
I prefer Melchizedek from...
Really?
I do, but Mel is fine.
Okay.
A lot of people call me Mel because they,
they can't pronounce his name. So I'm just trying to make it easy for everybody.
Yeah, but you can call me Mel, it's fine.
Okay.
Melchizedek I prefer, but Mel is fine.
So this is my husband, my boyfriend, my baby daddy, my headache, my... what?
Your medicine.
Okay.
I believe it was SWV who said, the cause and cure is you. I'm the cause of your headaches, but I'm the cure as well.
But I don't want to keep getting sick.
Well, sometimes, I had radioactive iodine therapy and I felt very sick, but I was supposed to help you be better. So sometimes you got to go through the...
So today, I brought my husband on because I want to talk about how we met, and it's sort of going to be like a how we met. Oh, I'm too far.
Yeah.
So it's sort of going to be like about like how we met and us getting married at 20 years old. We got married at 20, y'all. I don't know if I said that in...
The thing about it to me, like, even though that's young, and I think it's young today. Back in the day, though, they used to get married, like...
Yeah, back in 1935.
17,
we talking about
16.
2007. That's not a long time. I mean, people weren't really doing that when we got married.
A lot of our, I will say, college friends were getting married really young. So I guess we were around a very young and married culture, so to speak. So
yeah. So I just want to kind of discuss that because a lot of people see us with our oldest and they're like, that's your child. I don't know how young I look. I mean, I think I look 31, 32. I am 32. But a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, did y'all have her when you were like really, really young? And I'm like, no, we were married. We had her really soon, like right after we got married. But we were young and we weren't ready for a child.
She wasn't pregnant before we got married, by the way. Just wanted to put
and
that
if I was, but I wasn't. And what were we gonna say?
Nothing.
Go ahead, it's fine.
No. Nothing.
People do think that because nobody knew we were
But
married. You want to talk about that?
I'm not trying to put anybody down who does. I'm just saying that just because that's just to kind of just put that, I guess.
Yeah, I understand.
To alleviate a misnomer. So
I understand. But I sort of wanted to discuss that because a lot of people look at us that know us, and a lot of my friends and family don't even know I have a channel. So they probably will later on when I do announce it. I haven't said anything yet, but I wanted to discuss this because people are always asking us, how did you guys get married at 20 and you're still married? And, how did you make it? And how did you meet? So I'm just doing this video for fun, and hopefully we can encourage somebody with this video as well. So I'll let him, I'm going to see if he knows, if he's going to tell the story correctly as far as how we met, who liked who, and so on. This is going to be kind of interesting depending on how long it is because I'm trying to make my videos a little bit shorter. I'll probably have to do it in 2 parts. So without further ado, my husband, Mel.
So how do we meet? This is very I like recently my short-term memory has been very bad, but I think the older I get, the worse my short-term memory gets. But I remember stuff very, like, from a while ago very well. So like,
we're gonna do the short version because my love can be very long-winded. So we're gonna do the short version. Just want to put that disclaimer out there.
So we first met. I had already been enrolled on campus since the fall semester. So the spring semester, I was in the gym playing basketball, and she walked in with a whole bunch of girls, and I already had knew them, and so they was like, I was like, oh, we introduced ourselves to each other, and I remember exactly what you had on when I first, but I didn't like you like that.
What did I have on? Because I don't even.
You
remember.
had on these white Nikes, like they weren't Air Force Ones, but they were kind of like, I can't remember what they're called, but you had on these white Nikes, you had on this puffy coat, and it was like a gold kind of coat, and I think you had on some khakis. I don't remember what kind of shirt you had on, but anyway, we introduced ourselves to each other, and she said what school she went to. I was like, oh, you know, I grew up from so and so, and because our high schools played each other. They were like literally 5 minutes apart from each other, and they were rivals. And so,
but we didn't know each other, guys. Just want to put that out there.
Graduated the same year.
Yeah, we did not know each other.
So anyway, so we just kind of had like small talk, just kind of like, you know, hey, you know, okay, that's cool. But my vibe that I got from her was she was like stuck up, or like maybe thought I was like a square, or like, so I was like, okay, cool, just nice meeting you. So a few months passed by, and I had been leading like a lot of different things on campus, and I gonna get to all I was leading, but I'm probably doing too much. But one of the things that I was leading, I was director for this gospel choir for African American Student Association called Wings of Faith. And so we had like tryouts, because during this time it's supposed to be like a summer travel thing, or fall or summer travel thing, and like the students who got accepted in the Wings of Faith group.
I did not say the short version, y'all.
Oh, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Okay, they were getting scholarship. So I can't do. I can't do
Go
short
ahead.
version.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna have to edit this video.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So she said she was gonna try out or whatever. I already had heard her sing. She was like on the side. They had like the side door on the dorm, and I was walking, and I guess she's getting ready to try. So she was like, "Hey, do you have some tea?" Or she was like, I'm going to be trying out or whatever, but I might need some tea. And so I was like, yeah, I might have some tea or whatever. We had never really had like a conversation outside it. So the fact that she was talking to me about tea, she's like, okay, well, let me get your number so I can give you, so we can, I don't know how that conversation went. I can't even remember. But anyway, so we ended up exchanging numbers over the fact that she needed tea for her tryout. So I'm going to the field to finish playing. And it's about to be real quick. So anyway, the next few weeks, I'm walking to my dorm on a Saturday. She's getting up while I'm leaving the cafeteria, and she's like, "Is the line still open?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's still open." I was joking with her, and it wasn't. And then I was like, "Oh no, I'm just joking." So she ended up walking back. So I did the same thing the next Saturday. It was still open, but I said, "No, it's not open," because she asked me. She was like walking by. So that Saturday when she asked me,
he was flirting with me. That's what he was doing. That you were.
Okay.
You playing games and stuff. That's flirting.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna go into the whole backstory about other stuff, but that Saturday, that day when I had the second time I told her that it wasn't open, but it was, and then they ended up going. Anyway, that day I was sitting down watching football. I was watching, but our whole campus had this thing called a hayride. So for the hayride, everybody would have a date. They would go, but I had planned to kind of stay behind and kind of just monitor the men's dorm, and because I was an RA. So anyway, so I'm watching Georgia football that Saturday, and I get a text, and she was like, I don't know, I think he said, "What am I doing?" or something. She texted me, and I was like, that's really odd. And I was like, well, no, I'm just watching the game or something. And eventually, I ended up going to dinner that night after we had started texting. And I like, after talking to my friend, he was like, do you have a date for a hayride? I was like, nah, I ain't going. He's like, you should ask such and such. You should ask Martina. And I was like...
But he wanted to ask this Latina girl.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to ask her.
He said, this is what he told me later on. He said that it was between you and her. But he chose me.
So anyway. So he was like, you should ask her such and such. And I was like, really? I was like, nah, I ain't really trying to, you know. Because at this time, I'm like, I ain't never going to be with nobody. I'm just going to be saved and all this different stuff. I ain't studying that. So... he was like, man, I thought you did, I should. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna call her. So I called and I was like, her friend picked up the phone. I don't know, no, she picked up the phone first. And I was like, hey, you want to go to the hayride? And she sounded like real nervous. She's like, nah, I don't want to go. No, I'm okay. And I could tell though. I was like, well, I was gonna take you to the hayride or whatever, and then, you know, tell her what time she can be ready or whatever. And so she was like, she kind of kept hesitating. So anyway, we hung up. I was like, okay, well, cool. So my friend was like, man, she want to go. He was like, call her back. And so when I called back, her friend answered the phone, and I was like, hey. And I was like, where's Martina? She was like, oh, she's in the shower. I don't know if she said she was getting ready, but she was in the shower. So I was like, so I guess when I had talked to her after then, we ended up setting it up to go to the hayride together. And it was a Christian private school.
It was a Christian private school, predominantly white. So it was very few of us. It was like 10 black people at that school. So I think that's what kind of not forced us to get together, but I think that's what drew us to each other, because we could relate and, you know, and so on. But he picked me up in his car. We both had our own car in college. Luckily, we were like the ones driving all the black kids around. And my roommate was white, so she was always hanging with us too. But he picked me up in his car, and like we literally, the hayride, you know, we talked or whatever. But then we went to Wendy's afterwards, and we talked all night long. From that day up until the day he proposed. Like, even after he proposed, like, we were inseparable, and we would talk, like, you know how it is when you get with somebody you want to be with, or you like, or you're interested in, and you guys are talking on the phone for hours at a time, like, and we
weren't even official.
We weren't official as of yet, but we were talking like so long, like all day, all night, texting and talking on the phone. We were eating, like, I still have a problem with time, guys, but he would pick me up. Well, I don't want to say pick me up. He would walk to my dorm. The guys weren't allowed in our dorm rooms, so he would come to my dorm, wait outside for me. I would still be asleep. He wanted to have devotionals every other morning or whatever. I think it was like twice a week.
You had to put air quotes on devotionals.
Sorry. But he wanted to do that, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning.
No, it wasn't 6 o'clock. It was like probably 7:30. It was like 7.
He would be outside sleep on the bench, because I would be.
But the only reason why is because breakfast closes at a certain time. So I'd be like, well, the best time for us to do it is like at breakfast time. And
it wasn't that many people at breakfast.
And if you're not there like by a certain time, only thing you got left is like cereal and stuff. So I'd be like, man, I want to get there. Yeah, nice breakfast, you know. So
that's what we would do. I forgot the name of the book, but we would pray together, and then
A Love Worth the Giving.
Oh,
okay. I think it's by Max Lucado.
So that's the book we read. It was a devotional, and we would pray together, do that book.
We should read that again.
We need to.
We need to. We really need to.
Anyway. But that's how we met. That's how we started. And then I honestly don't think we would have gotten married at 20. But like he said, the culture that we were surrounded by, like all of those people were getting married. And I think we were just like, oh, we should get married too. But he was more so on the marriage side. I was okay with waiting. he wanted to marry me so bad. Like, he asked my grandfather, my dad, my mom, everybody. And everybody said yes. Because I was like, well, ask my family. Because in my head, I'm like, I know they're going to say no. I say, ask my family.
I don't remember you telling me that.
Yeah, of course I wasn't going to tell you that. Should I have said that? Sorry. But I was saying, like, I didn't think I was going to get married. The point
I don't remember you saying, like, ask my family. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I said, I need you to ask my family. I said, I'm not going to get married without you asking my family. I mean, that's the proper thing to do, right?
But I felt like, this is what I remember. Because we had been talking about, like, because this is my philosophy as a Christian. Like, a lot of people feel like, and it's like really popular nowadays, that you just date and you just play the field and you kind of get a feel for it. And a lot of people like sleep around with each other and just kind of, as Christians, I don't feel like that's like something that you should be fond of. So I feel like after a certain point, if I'm dating a person at a certain point, you have the potential to be my wife. Cause I'm not going to be sitting there wasting my time with somebody that I just want to kick it with. If I'm with you, like.
But my perspective of that was, I agree with what he's saying. But at 20 years old.
But I didn't know any better. Right.
Like, if my daughter came to me right now and was like, Mom, I want to get married, I'm going to be like, no. I mean, not right now, but like if she was 20, I would be like, no. Depending on where she is in her life, if she's finished with college, you know, things like that. I think that was a part of the issue.
Well,
I don't want to say an issue.
And then, like, my cousin, like, he was like, he had just got married, and he was like egging me on because he got married like spur of the moment, but he was like maybe 5 or 7 years older than me. But you know, he was like, yeah, man, you need to go and get married and stuff like that, and yeah, and.
But I mean, I guess for me, I wouldn't suggest doing that, but we didn't know any better. Nobody really told us not to do it, and so he was a good guy. My family was in love with him.
Well, I did. His
grandmother.
My uncle had told. He was like, you know, are you sure you want to get married? He gave me this whole long spiel.
He didn't want to listen to nobody. His grandmother was so mad with him. Like, it took her 3 years to start talking to me.
I'm sorry, but there was a reason why I didn't, you know, and two, at the same time, like, my mom, she didn't really see anything wrong with it. My dad didn't see anything wrong with it. And they, even though they're not ideal people to be listening to anyway. The fact that.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm like, why would they have anything to say about it?
But it was just like, you know, if you get a parental approval, even if your parents are not like, I don't know. But anyway, so, I mean, we did have people tell, I guess, but more so the people that I was hearing from about not getting married, they weren't telling me not to get married because we were young. They were like telling me not to get married because like of what marriage is. Like my aunt Drea, she had called me one time and she was like, because, you know, y'all might have a hard time. One person might want to do this, one person want to do that.
You never told me this.
I thought I did too.
No, you did not. Let me tell y'all. This boy done tricked me into. I mean, I'm glad we doing this video because I'm finding out.
But she wasn't like don't get married to her. She was just saying
no,
like,
I know
you gotta
that.
think about like you know
that was important.
But and so I was like, okay, you know. But I listened to her, and I was like telling her all these things about how, you know, we were gonna do this.
Let me tell y'all something about my husband. He is very good with words, and he will convince anybody of anything. Not saying like he's a liar or anything, but he's just very good with words and spirituality and making things seem a lot better. And
I don't say things that's not on the inside of my heart. If I say it,
but he is on the inside of your heart. But sometimes just because it's on the inside of your heart does not mean that.
And at the time, though, you have to understand. Like at the time, you know, I had in my mind, I had this plan. Like, you know, I was gonna finish school. I was gonna get a job because I had gotten a degree in counseling psychology, not knowing that in order for me to make some real money, I have to get my master's first. So I kind of was ahead of myself.
He's always ahead of himself.
But I had this plan.
I
felt like
I'm
it was
glad
gonna.
he had a plan, but the plan just didn't go all out. So because this video has already reached a long limit, we're just gonna have to do part 2. It's gonna have to be 2 parts. But that's how we met. And we got married at 20 years old.
That's how we met. We got married at 20 years old.
We still together though. We might be a little crazy.
A lot of people told us we wouldn't make it though.
Yeah.
I think that's what made me want to get married even more. Cause I was like, I'm gonna prove these folks wrong. Cause it was like, a lot of people was like, nah, y'all ain't, it's gonna backfire.
But they were right, y'all, and he keeps on doing. He keeps coming back with it.
Well, they said we weren't gonna make it.
I know. I'm saying the reasons for them saying it, like they were right.
I guess.
Not that marriage is a bad thing. Marriage is a great thing. And honestly, what I've learned is that people can tell you all day long why not to, why you should, the bad things about it, what can go wrong, all of those things. But I'll honestly say, until you get in it, you will never know. Because you can have a good marriage for 5 years and something can happen. Nothing bad, but it can shake your foundation. Like the foundation that the two of you built together. And I think that we didn't really consider those things. And when you're as young as we were and you really aren't stable, I think he had a lot of healing that needed to take place in his life, and so did I. And I think that we thought that we could fix each other. And we tried so hard to fix each other that we started to fail in different areas and it wasn't working out. And
you felt like you could fix me?
I felt like, yeah, because the way he was raised and things that he told me about his life, I felt like I could be that person and really show him love and really fix that brokenness on the inside of him. And, vice versa. I didn't have my dad growing up, and the other guys that I would date, they broke my heart. I wasn't affectionate when I met him, and I felt like he thought maybe he could fix me and show me real love. But until you're whole as an individual, you can't help anybody else. You can't fix nobody. Even if you are whole, you can't fix anybody, period. That person has to want to change, and they have to be whole within themselves to see, even if they have a problem, that it needs to be fixed, if that makes any sense. But anyway, we're going to continue this video, but I'm going to have to break it up into 2 parts. So stay tuned for part 2.